All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to College Week Live and the info session for the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Right now, my name is Patrick Ellisted. I'm an admission counselor here for undergraduate applicants. And with me today, I have Sammy and Sengai. And why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience as well?
All right, hi, my name is Sangay. I am a junior here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm majoring in political science and sociology, and I am originally from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Hi guys, I'm Sammy. I'm a freshman here on campus. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm majoring in biology and planning on following the pre-med track.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, good. Well, just to kind of introduce the city of Madison to you all, we live in a very unique city. It's quite large. It's big, but it's not a big city feeling. We have about 200,000 folks here in the city of Madison, and again, it's a unique city because it sits right on an isthmus, and what an isthmus is a strip of land in between two lakes. We have Lake Mendota, that is on the north side of the city, and Lake Monona on the south side. And the actual university's campus lies right on the lakeshore of Mendota. So it's a kind of a neat, unique city for you to explore. And the other cool thing about that is where the university is held. It's right smack dab in the middle of the city. So you're not, kind of off by yourself in the middle of nowhere when you're going to school. You're kind of intermingled with the citizens of Madison, so you kind of have that city feel to you, and you're kind of part of a community, not just going to school. Sammy, coming from Boston, kind of just tell me how you heard about Wisconsin, how you started to apply or think about it. Did you come and visit, and then kind of your travel plans when you come here and when you go home, that sort of thing.
Yep, so I heard about it sort of through friends, or sort of through the grapevine, and I actually didn't visit until I was accepted to Madison. So when I finally got here, I just walked around the campus and I absolutely fell in love. I loved how it was right on the lake, so you got some nature. There's a path, there's a running path that brings you down to a nice point, and so you can overlook the lake, and it's really beautiful. But then there's also an urban side, so there's this really popular street where there are a ton of restaurants, and you always see college kids around, so it's a really nice atmosphere. And for traveling, I normally fly into Madison, but I know a lot of students also fly into Milwaukee or Chicago and then take a bus, so it's super accessible. You'll always be traveling with other students you'll see wearing a Wisconsin sweatshirt, so it's not too stressful at all for traveling.
And Sengay, kind of, you coming down from Wauwatosa, it's about an hour away,
Yeah.
correct? Now, do you ever use the bus system going home?
Yes, I do. I actually use Badger Bus a lot to go between Madison and Milwaukee. It's really convenient. It's maybe about $20 a ride. And it's a straight shot from campus right to the bus depot or even to the airport if you wanted to travel from there.
Perfect. Well, good. That's kind of our introduction. So what we're going to do is kind of have a very informal information session about UW Madison, the different programs we offer here, the student organizations. We'll go over our residence halls, and we'll also touch upon the application process as well. So if you have any questions, you can definitely ask them throughout the presentation. We'll answer them kind of as they're coming in, and then hopefully your question, if it doesn't directly get answered, is going to be answered through these presentations. So we'll actually start with a question right now. When I apply to the university, am I admitted to a specific program or the university in general? That's a great question. And I'll touch upon that later on in the presentation when we start talking about applying and going on that program. If for some reason you need to leave our presentation, you can ask and we'll get that answered, but it's actually part of our presentation. So the university itself, I kind of talked about the city of where it is. The university is a large public university. We have just over 43,000 total students, and that includes undergraduates, graduate students, and students going to work on their PhD. If you break it down a little bit more, We have just under 30,000 undergrads here on campus. With all those different students, we have a lot of different professors as well. We have over 2,000 different professors here on campus, and the really neat thing about the professors are they're not only the ones that are teaching your class, but they're also living here in Madison. They're right on campus. They're doing their research. They're writing the books that you may be using in some of their lectures. So that's kind of neat to see their work that is being taught right in the classroom. The other nice thing is that they have mandatory office hours each week throughout the semester where they designate a certain time during the week that they leave either their office open to students coming in, or they find a place on campus to meet, and any student can come and talk to them about pretty much anything, whether it's a research project that they want to get involved in, a more efficient way of studying for an upcoming exam, or just to go over some of the content that they learned in that class that week. So, you know, speaking of the professors and kind of the relationships between our students and professors, kind of tell me how you use that resource to kind of make yourself a better student.
So it's a really great resource to use. Their office hours, their doors are always open during the times they designate. And also, if you're not able to make those times, you can always shoot them an email and they would be happy to meet with you. I've done it a couple times. All of my professors have been super welcoming. They get super excited when students reach out to them and sort of find out what they're doing besides teaching, and sort of if you have any questions, just to clarify the stuff you learned in class. They're super helpful, and they love when students come talk to them.
Cynthia, what do you think?
I definitely echo what Sammy said. What I found most helpful in my visits to office hours is actually talking about ways to study more efficiently for exams, because we all have different study skills and study habits, and I found that the professor who's designing the exam probably knows the best way to prepare for that exam, and so it's definitely been helpful in that way, and also has helped me to maintain relationships with professors after having taken the class, which then leads to me maybe getting letters of recommendation from them or working on research with them down the road.
Perfect. And with all of, you know, when I just mentioned with all the professors on campus and the total number of undergraduates being pretty large here, it can kind of, you know, for someone looking into the school and maybe coming from a smaller school, it might be a little daunting, but, you know, the actual class average here on campus is about 29 students. So you will have your large lecture halls filled with 100, 200, maybe 400 students. But then you're also going to have your discussion groups, discussion sections within those large lecture halls that will make up students between 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 students that you can have a more intimate way of learning what you're being taught in the large lecture series. And then once you start going through your program and the majors, like we'll talk about in a little bit, your class sizes get smaller and smaller as you get into that major that you're studying. So can you kind of tell us a little bit, you know, maybe echo on that with you guys going to school right now, and kind of what your schedules look like and how that works with the larger classes compared to the smaller classes?
Yeah, so as a freshman, I'm taking mainly intro classes, so those do tend to be on the bigger side. But almost all of my classes are broken down into discussion sections, so there are about 20 students. So it's a really nice thing to have because you feel more comfortable asking questions. Your TAs are also super helpful. They give you worksheets. There's a lot of group work, so it really caters to all types of learning. Sort of, if you're not very good at lecture style learning and taking notes, there's also the interactive, you know, being able to ask questions freely and stuff like that. So even when you're just taking the intro classes, you still have the chance to be in smaller environments that really help you learn.
In addition, if you are coming in as a first-year student, we have first-year interest groups that you can participate in, and that's actually what I did my freshman year. So essentially it's just taking 3 classes with a group of 20 students, and that was really helpful for me because not only did I have the large lecture experience, but I was also able to take discussion classes with these students and study with them outside of class. And moving forward then, as I am now a junior, I found that my classes have actually gotten smaller because I'm out of those intro courses that Sammy talked about. and I'm in more concentrated coursework. So I'm taking classes with maybe 20 people in higher level classes.
Perfect. Well, good. And that just is a testament of how the university works, of being a larger university, but really concentrating on the student and the student's experience and making you feel, very welcomed and very at home when you're here on campus. Because that's kind of the biggest goal for all of our students here, is to get that well-rounded, comprehensive education. And the way they do that is by a lot of the different resources that we have here on campus. So we were talking a little bit about programs and getting, being a junior, you're starting to get into your major classes. We have over 140 different majors available to all our undergraduates here, and all of those majors are housed under 8 different schools or colleges. And we can I'll kind of go through all of them, and then we'll kind of give examples for all of those. So actually, Sammy, why don't you talk a little bit about the major that you're thinking about going into?
So I'm majoring in biology. So right now I'm taking a bunch of intro classes for that. And one of the things that I really liked, I think I'm majoring in biology. I'm not really quite sure. I'm sort of open to different majors. But one of the good things about here in Wisconsin is that there's a ton of different classes that you can take. So you can find a range, and if you're not sure what you're going to major in, there's so many different opportunities. You can explore different avenues. And then sort of that'll help you narrow down what you want to major in.
Perfect. You're a poli-sci?
Yes, so I'm a political science and sociology major, and so what I love about my majors and being in the College of Letters and Science is that there is so much flexibility in how I was able to shape my major. Within the College of Letters and Science, you need 120 credits to graduate, but each major is only worth about 30 credits of those 120. So even though I am taking strictly political science classes, I've had a lot of flexibility to incorporate gender and women's studies classes and to take ethnic studies classes. I've taken chemistry and econ, and basically any class that I wanted to take on campus I've had the opportunity to take.
Yeah, that's perfect. And right now, both Sammy and Senge have majors that they picked out. If you are undecided, that's okay too. We have over 60% of our incoming freshman class come in undecided because of kind of the things you're talking about, how big, wide range of courses that we can offer our students. Plus, you're not locked down into a major. You can change at any time, and working with your advisor, they're going to help you out, not only trying to find your path, but also get you down that path successfully on your way to graduation, like we mentioned here today. The other nice thing with advisors is, right when the first day you step onto campus, you'll be assigned to an advisor, whether you know exactly what you want to do as a freshman or you're undecided. So for Sammy here, you went in with a biology major in mind. Tell us a little bit about how you met your advisor and kind of how that went.
So I met my advisor first during SOAR, so they helped me get set up with an advisor, so I was able to meet them. And then later I would make an appointment and I visit them when I have to sign up for classes, and they sort of help me sort of figure out these are the types of classes I need to take, and then I go on from there. Also, another good thing is that I'm thinking about doing pre-med, and they have another section of advisors that advise just for pre-med. You do sort of have to go on your own and contact them yourself, but they're a really great resource, so you can make sure that you're balancing your major and completing that, but also following sort of all the classes that are required or suggested for the pre-med track.
Yeah, and as an upperclassman, could you tell us a little bit how you meet with your advisor, each semester or throughout the semester, just to keep yourself on track, or what your plans are when you meet with your advisor?
Sure, yeah. So what I've taken to doing actually with meeting with my political science advisor specifically, I have talked to her mostly about my future plans, because that's changed a lot since I first started at the university. I came in thinking I wanted to be a pre-law, and that changed drastically, and now I'm looking more into policy reform. But she's been really helpful in helping me shape which classes I take at the university, and in looking at professional schools and graduate schools for after college, and just in planning that. And so I meet with her maybe once or twice a semester, just in looking at the classes I'm taking, how they're going for me, and what the next steps are with regards to following semesters and applying for internships.
Perfect. Good. Well, you kind of heard, from a freshman and an upperclassman. Both of their majors are in the College of Letters and Science, which, Sangya, you kind of mentioned how big it is, and it really is the biggest college on campus. It holds a majority of those 140 majors here, and with biology, you can actually do biology in the College of Letters and Science, or in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, or CALS as we call it here. And that's a really nice thing too, because you can kind of intermingle those studies. With CALS, you have your dairy sciences, and you have your soil sciences. We are the University of Wisconsin-Madison, so we have a living, breathing, working farm right here on campus, but it is also known for biology and our genetics programs and our food science programs. So that might be a great venue to look into if you're interested in and you don't know what you want to get into. We also have the College of Engineering, which is one of the top engineering schools in the nation, and we hold mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, we have nuclear engineering, so a wide range of different engineering courses that you may not find in a lot of other universities around the nation. Our School of Business is also nationally ranked. We have a great risk management and real estate programs right here on campus. So one of, again, top premier programs that's going on in the nation. Another great thing with the School of Business is a lot of their professors are people that were in the business world and had success in the business world. Now they're coming back and teaching here at the university. And that's kind of a neat thing too, because you're having that real world experience coming in and teaching you and then prepping you for your next endeavor when you graduate from here as an undergrad. School of Education here at the University of Wisconsin is a little bit different than most traditional schools of education, where we do have our teaching certificate majors, like our special education and our elementary education, but over half of the majors at the School of Education are non-teaching based. This is home to our kinesiology program. It's also home to our art and dance programs as well. School of Human Ecology is more of the human interest side. This has our personal finance, our human development and family studies, our retail, and our textile and design programs. School of Nursing has one major, it's nursing. And then the School of Pharmacy also has one major. It's pharmacology and toxicology. So with all of those classes and majors that we can offer and in classroom help, we also like to offer our students outside classroom academic work. And again, like I mentioned before, we like to concentrate on that comprehensive education. So we really concentrate on taking what you're learning inside the classroom and applying that to other areas, such as undergraduate research. We talked about the first year interest groups, different multicultural groups. Did you guys kind of talk about what kind of organizations and groups you're in that kind of take what you're learning in the classroom and applying that into these groups? I'll start with you.
Sure. So one group that I've actually recently gotten involved in is called TOWIE. It's actually a student-run organization. And so it takes sort of the international aspect that I've been learning about in my political science classes, and it helps me think more critically about how to apply those to the real world and what aid looks like coming from non-governmental organizations, and what I can do right now as a student to help developing countries. So that's just one way that I've gotten involved in the last year or so. I know a lot of people have actually studied abroad as well, and are taking what we've learned through our classes and through this organization and are using that while they're studying abroad. So.
Yeah, I joined the organization HOSA, which is Health Occupation Students of America, and that was a really great way to get involved because it's all about sort of preparing yourself to go on to either graduate school or medical school, and they have different professionals come in and speak to you about what they do, so you really learn about all the different occupations that people are in. So it's been really helpful, and I know a lot of student organizations, not just the ones for pre-health, a lot of student orgs really reach out to professionals in the community to come speak to their groups to really inform the students of what they can do later in life and how they can get involved, and also they give a lot of volunteer opportunities, so it's really easy to get involved here on campus.
Yeah, definitely. We touched upon, excuse me, the study abroad program as well. And we have a very strong study abroad program right here at UW Madison, where almost half of our students on campus do some kind of study abroad at some time in their undergraduate career, whether it's for an entire year or for a semester or even over one of our summer or winter breaks. They're going overseas somewhere and studying. And the great thing about this program is not only are they going over and experiencing education in a different country, in a different venue, but they're also working towards their major progress. So they're not just going over there and taking some filler classes, they're actually working towards their major in graduation. So you're getting that full circle of the opportunities to go over into a different country and work towards your graduation rate. Excuse me. Could you talk a little bit more about the first year interest groups? I know a lot of students always ask us questions about that. They're interested in it. So talk a little bit about that, and I can talk about learning communities as well.
Sure. So a first year interest group, or FIG, is a really great way to kind of adjust to the larger campus feel coming from a high school situation. So it can be kind of overwhelming when you get here and you're on a campus that has 40,000 plus other people. And so for me, I was really concerned about going into a lecture with 200, 300. I had a lecture with 600 other people in it, and that was really overwhelming. So I decided to take a FIG, and that essentially is just 3 classes that you take with 20 students. They're usually 9 to 12 credits, and they do actually count towards completing your degree and completing your major requirements. And some of them actually count in general education requirements, which is a great way to get those requirements done your first semester, and you've got a great support system set up for you. So I made some friends that I still talk to this day, and we hang out and study together. But also I learned a lot about what study techniques they have that work for them and what works for me. And I was able to make connections with faculty members on campus who I'm still in contact with, who have even offered to write me letters of recommendation. And it's really a great experience. You get to meet people, and the professors that are teaching it really do like to work with first year students, and they are reaching out to the FIGS program specifically to work with incoming students. So.
Well, good. Well, not only do we have those academic programs that we're applying outside the classroom, but we also have a lot of different organizations that fit our students' interests outside of their academic structured lives when they're here on campus. We have over 900 different organizations on campus, and that can range from bass fishing club to a med school or a pre-med advisory organization. Go and talk about what your interests are and how you take in those interests and applying them to some of these organizations and clubs.
Yeah, so as I said before, I was in the pre-health student club, and so that's been really helpful because I know I want to sort of follow that. And then also I joined the Badger Cheese Club, which is it's not non-academic. So you meet every couple weeks, you get to meet other students, which is really awesome, talk to them, try different types of cheese. So that sort of just shows the range of student organizations that are here on campus. You can find anything that you're interested in, you will find here on campus.
Yeah, and a really great tool that we have to help students connect to these organizations is the Wisconsin Involvement Network. So it's actually a website that you can go to and search specific keywords. So like I would search international relations, and any student org that deals with international relations will come up, and then I can join through the website and learn more about it there. In addition to TOWI, the student org that I mentioned before, I was also involved in the Wisconsin Track Club for some time, which was a really fun way coming out of high school sports to still compete at the college level without feeling the pressure of competing on like a varsity level team. And it was really low key, it was great, I met a lot of people, practiced when I wanted to, and still was able to compete.
Yeah, that's great. And the nice thing is too, if you're interested in something and we don't have it out of our 900 plus organizations, you can apply for that specific organization, and voila, now you are the president of your own organization. And that's why we like to encourage that with our students, because it's showing leadership opportunities. It's also a way to expose those diverse interests to other students that may have never thought of that or heard of that certain type or interest that a student might have. So again, we're exposing a lot of our students to a lot of different things while they're here on campus. We talked about athletic clubs and intramurals. We are a Big Ten university, so we have Big Ten athletics. We have 23 varsity athletics here on campus. If you don't play a varsity sport and you don't want to have that commitment, but you still want to have that athletic competition or just keep yourself active, we do have a lot of different intramural athletics and club sports to keep yourself active. And the great thing about the intramural leagues and sports that we have here is the different levels that we have. So if you're a very competitive basketball player and you want to stay at a high competition while you're here, you can join one of our higher level intramural leagues. Or if you come into college and say, hey, I'm going to try to play basketball, you can join in one of the lower level leagues where you'll share the same interests and kind of the same abilities as others that you're playing with. So it's a really neat way to get involved, to be active, and then also meet a lot of students. Like a lot of your groups, it's kind of a common theme. You meet a lot of people with similar interests through all of these. So that's just one kind of thing that we have to do right there. Other than athletics, we also have a lot of different performing arts on campus. We had over 2,000 different venues on campus alone, and that's all student run through the different organizations here, whether it's theater or spoken word or a cappella groups. These are some groups that our students are coming in with these talents, and they want to continue their talents through these. So it's a really great opportunity again to get involved and share with those interests. So speaking of interest and being on campus, we're going to start to talk a little bit about the residence life here, especially we can talk about your experiences when you came, and then you're fresh in an experience. Both of you lived in residence halls, correct? So let's talk a little bit about that right away. I'll kind of give an overview. We do have 19 different residence halls on campus, and they're kind of spread out between two different neighborhoods on each of the corners of campus. One being the Lakeshore residence halls, and those are right up on the lakeshore on Lake Minota, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation. These residence halls, are on the lake. They're little, they're not high-rise buildings. You have the bike path that goes there, so it's more of a rural setting. So if that's something that you're interested in, you might want to look into living at one of the residence halls in the Lakeshore neighborhood. The southeast neighborhood is more of the urban style, high-rise buildings. You kind of have the hustle and bustle of downtown. So if that's more your style and more of what you're comfortable with, you can pick to live in there. So it's really your option of what neighborhood you want to live in, as well as what hall you want to live in that neighborhood. And the great thing is, they're two real different residence halls, but they share all the same amenities. They're pretty much the same distance from the center of campus. So it's really up to you where you'd like to live. So Sammy, tell us where you're living right now.
So I'm currently living in Southeast, so I live in Celery Hall, and I really like it because it's sort of known as one of the more social dorms. So you leave your door open, people will stop by, say hi. You really get to know the people on your floor, which is really nice. And it's also really close to different things such as State Street, which is a street with a bunch of different restaurants down it. So I really like the more urban style, but at the same time, I always hear people in Lakeshore saying how beautiful the view is from their window. They overlook the lake, and how quiet it is. You know, you don't have, you know, the hustle and bustle of Madison. So.
Yeah, similar to Sammy, I actually lived in Celery my freshman year as well. And so I loved meeting all the people on my floor. There were 63 other people that I got to meet in 1 year, in 9 months, and I still keep in contact with them. And there were a lot of different personalities and a very wide range of people that I was meeting. So it was a great way to sort of broaden my horizons and meet people from different backgrounds that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And I really appreciated that about it. Something different from Sammy is I actually work in a residence hall right now as a house fellow, or as some of you may know, a resident assistant RA. And so my experience has actually been shaped a lot differently. My freshman year, I had such a great experience that I was like, yes, I want to come back and give back to someone else and give them a similar experience to what I had. And so that is why I made the decision then to work in a residence hall. And I can tell you it's one of the best decisions that I've made so far at the university.
Yeah, that's great. And like you said, you kind of keep your door open. It's very social that way, which is great because the diversity on campus alone is one of the things we pride ourselves on. In the residence halls itself, we have over 7,000 different students from all walks of life, from all over the world, and we actually have about 53 different countries represented in the residence halls this year. So you do get to meet a lot of people that you may not have ever met before, or would never have the opportunity to do that, and then they turn into some of your friends that you're still in contact with. And then like we mentioned, you go back and be a residence, you go back and be a residence hall assistant, and do that and give back to what the experience you had while you're there. So really good insight for what students do live right in the residence hall. Now at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, you don't have to live in a residence hall your freshman year or any year that you're on campus, but it's highly looked at to do so, just because of not only the experiences we talked about here, but also the transition from being a high school student or a transfer student to a new place. It really makes that transition that much smoother because you have your dining facilities right there by the residence hall. You have all your laundry. You have your recreational facilities in either of the neighborhoods. So it does make that transition a lot easier. It helps you meet new people that you may not have ever met or would ever meet on campus. So it's a great opportunity for those students to stay there, especially their freshman year, maybe into their sophomore year, work there. If you do move off campus, we have a lot of our students that will do so. There's ample living around campus, and so a lot of our students will do that. And the nice thing about that is a lot of our quote-unquote off-campus housing is actually right on campus or across the street from where campus begins. So you're not way out away from where the campus is, but you can walk right on, and it all depends on when you're going to school and what your preference is to where you're living. That kind of reminds me too of how to get around campus. Most students just walk campus. You can walk from corner to corner under 25 minutes if it's a nice day of weather, not with ice or rain or whatever. But you see the majority of our students just walk from either the residence halls or their housing onto campus. You'll also see people biking around campus. We have nice bike lanes, not only on the city streets, but also throughout campus as well. You'll take buses. There's free buses that go around the perimeter of campus that a lot of students are using, especially this time of year when it's a little colder out or or the streets are a little bit more full of snow. So those buses get a little bit more crammed up at this time of year. But the other nice thing about being a student here is not only the free buses, but you get a free bus pass for the city of Madison. So you can travel anywhere in the city with that bus pass that's part of you being a student here. And the nice thing is if you want to get off campus, maybe go to a restaurant that's on either the east side or west side of the city of Madison, you can do so, and it's very easy to catch a bus and get on the bus line and come back right back to where you're living. How do you guys get around campus?
I usually walk. I also have my bike here, so when it's not negative 20 degrees, I ride my bike a lot. And I've been taking the bus a lot more often. I have classes that are maybe a 25-minute walk from my building right now, so that's not as pleasant of a walk to make at this time of year, so I take the bus a lot right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I normally walk to my classes, but occasionally, if it's the end of the day and I'm a little tired, I can just hop on a bus. There are bus stops everywhere, and it'll take me straight to my building. And also, another thing nice about the bus is, he said, the extent of, running all throughout Madison. You can always catch a bus and go to Target, pick up some different things, or go to the mall. So it's really nice because you don't need a car, especially as a freshman. You really don't have any use for it because you can get around campus and you can get around Madison super easily.
Yeah, good. Yeah, not only getting around campus during school hours or during when classes are in session, but at night too. What we like to focus on is obviously safety for our students. And the great thing is these city buses are running, well after classes are done throughout the day. But we also have a great program, which is our Safe Walk and Safe Ride program. So let's say you're at a library, studying until the wee hours of the morning, and you don't necessarily want to walk by yourself back to your residence hall. You can call either Badger or Safe Walk, which when you call, they'll send two people to come and pick you up wherever you are, whether it's a library, whether it's a friend's house. Whether you're working down on State Street where all the restaurants are, they'll come and escort you back to where you need to go. So it's just that nice feeling of being safe whenever and at whatever time it is on campus. Then the same goes for the Safe Ride. It's the exact same concept, but someone will come and pick you up in a vehicle that's part of the university and bring you right back. And both services are free for all of our students here. So that's a really nice deal for our students to feel safe. When you guys are walking around campus too, safety-wise, do you feel safe? If not, are you comfortable with what you can do and what's available to you?
Yeah, so walking around campus, normally I'm walking with the friends or wherever I go, whatever time of day. But we'll always see kids walking around on campus, so you're never truly alone, but it is always good to walk around with a buddy. So I always feel super comfortable on campus, and I always know that I have a lot of resources that I can reach out to. I've used Safe Walk a couple of times, and especially, studying late at the library, it's really helped. Because you never really know what's going to happen, but it's campus feels super safe, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I do walk everywhere, and if I'm going somewhere later at night, I'll walk with a friend, just because, you want to use a buddy system. I learned it in Girl Scouts, and I haven't forgotten it since. So, yeah, I go a lot of places with my friends. I will take the 81, which is like our Safe Ride bus that comes around, and that's also free if I need to. And really just looking out and being aware of my surroundings. So, yeah.
Good. Well, good. Well, that's kind of campus life, the programs, living on campus, what we're involved in, what we can offer our students. So right now, I'm going to kind of switch gears. We're going to get into the application and how to apply to Madison and some deadlines for you to think about. When you're applying, if you've already applied or thinking about doing that for next year. So first off, our our deadlines for our undergraduate applications for freshmen. We open up our applications beginning of September, and we break our application season into 2 notification periods. The first notification period starts in September and runs through November 1st. These students who complete their application before that November 1st deadline will have a guaranteed decision to them before the end of January. Now, those who may apply after that November 1st deadline, they have until February 1st to get all their materials into us and have a complete file, and those students will have a guaranteed decision before the end of March. So we're kind of coming up at the end of our application season here and getting our final decisions out to our students. For transfer students, it goes from the beginning of September all the way to February 1st for that fall term. And then for spring term, it's October 1st all the way to the end, or you'll get a decision before the end of December. And let me clarify, for fall term, those students that get their application in before February 1st will have a guaranteed decision before the end of April. So what kind of consists of that full application, that complete application? Number one, you can go online on our website at admissions.wisc.edu and fill out the online application. It's you'll fill out a bunch of fields with your personal information, the high school courses that you're going to be taking your senior year, what activities that you're involved in, your extracurricular activities. If you work throughout, if you have any job experience, you can put that into the application as well. Then we're going to also ask you to submit 2 written statements. These are kind of essays telling us who you are as a student. We have 2 prompt questions that will help you answer for those statements, and they're open-ended questions, so there's no right or wrong answer. It's how you feel you can answer that to the best of your ability. The other thing you're going to send in are your transcripts from all your high schools that you've attended. If you've only attended one, we'd only need that one official high school transcript. If you had gone to different high schools throughout your career, then we'll need those official transcripts from all of those schools. We'll also need your test scores. We take ACT and or SAT scores, but with the ACT, you have to have the writing score along with all of the other sub scores. So we take either or, but with the ACT, the written portion of that test needs to be added to that when you submit it to our school. Then, last but not least, our letters of recommendation. These are not required materials for a complete application, but they're highly recommended. And again, this is just another way that we can hear about you and know you more as a student and as a person that maybe we can't see from just simply reading a transcript or looking at your extracurricular activities. So it's, again, a way for someone else to express what kind of a student you are. After that, you'll send all that to us, and once we have that completed application, we will review it and get a decision out to you within those dates that I said before. So, and like I said before, you get all of that in at a certain time, you'll have those decisions made to you, within those deadlines. So coming from Boston and then coming from Wisconsin too, you're kind of fresh off of getting your application in this time last year, and you're a few years out from that as well. But tell us a little bit about what that situation, or that part of your life and the application process, and not only filling out the application here, but why you felt content to go ahead and apply here.
So I, as I said before, I heard of Wisconsin sort of through the grapevine. So I was talking to people applying to pretty much the same schools I was, and they said, hey, I'm applying to Wisconsin. So I looked into it. I really liked all the programs it offered, so I went ahead and applied. And then once I kept looking more into it, I kept looking back, and every single time I looked at it, I liked it more and more, just because of the wide range of classes it offers, where it's located. It's a really great location. Just the people that attend this school are super friendly. I've never heard a single bad thing about Wisconsin. And also just the experiences that you gain sort of outside the classroom, the different student organizations, the different jobs that you can get. There's so many opportunities for research. So just like the whole picture of Wisconsin, so that's what made me apply and end up coming here.
Yeah, so for me it was a little bit different. My older sister actually went here, and so it was like, well, if you're going to go to school in Wisconsin, I think you know where you need to go. So Wisconsin was the only choice for me, and it was the only place that I would really see myself. I've always wanted to sort of like move away from home, and so for me, being in Madison is just the right amount of distance from Milwaukee and from home life and being with mom and being under her wing, and sort of having that sense of independence at the same time. So I really enjoyed knowing that I would be able to sort of be my own person but still be able to go home when I needed to. In addition, I came in thinking I was going to go into law school, and I knew that I was going to be a poli-sci major, and I thought, what better place to be a poli-sci major than at the capital of the state? And so that's sort of what helped me to really solidify that if this is what you want to study, Madison is the place to do it. And so that's how I wound up here.
Wonderful. And when we're looking at those applications, when you get that complete application in, the great thing about UW Madison is we do a holistic review process. And what that means is not only are we looking at your transcripts and the classes that you've taken, how well you did in those, we're looking at your test scores as well, but also we're looking at those written statements, those extracurricular activities that I mentioned to you before, telling us more about who you are as a student. So all of those factors combined with the written statements, the extracurricular activities, those letters of recommendation that I said, your academic record, all of that is taken into consideration when we're ready to make those decisions. So again, it's not just based on a test score or what class you're taking your senior year. It's everything, and the reason it's like that is because we're bringing in students and we're admitting students that are a well-rounded student, successful in the classroom and out, and they're bringing those experiences to this place on campus, and it's the right fit for that right person. And you kind of both touched upon that, just hearing about it and then knowing when you got here that this is where you wanted to be, and knowing being from Wisconsin and knowing the reputation that this has, and what kind of student you need to be here is very important, especially when you're starting to look at different schools as well. So so we get through that process, and for any admitted students that are maybe watching right now, that first order of business is to accept your being admitted here. And you can do that by paying your $100 enrollment deposit. This goes towards your tuition, and it kind of secures your spot in the next fall's freshman class. So once you do that, we're going to start sending you information about housing and where you want to live. You can pick whether you're in salary down here in Southeast or up in one of the Lakeshore residence halls. So you get to pick where you want to be, and you'll kind of have probably one of your top three chosen through that process, especially the quicker that you get that in. The next thing that you're going to do is send in your official final transcript from your high school, and then you're going to attend SOAR, which is our student orientation, advising, and registration. This is where you meet your advisor, whether you have picked a major right away or you're undecided. With those undecided majors, you'll meet with cross-college advising services, and these will be those advisors that will kind of show you what's available to you and kind of get you going down a few different paths, and eventually you'll find your niche and get into biology or poli-sci and go forth that way. So that's kind of the next steps. But right now I think that's kind of all we have. We're going to answer a few questions that came in during the presentation, so I hope you're still here. Number one, someone asked about safety. We really did touch upon that. It's a huge and very important issue to us here on campus, not only students but faculty members as well. So So I hope you heard that. For changing majors, this is a great question. Can you change majors? Yes, you can. And that's the great thing, again, about UW Madison is you're not locked into a major right away and then have to stay in there and really, if you need to change, really work hard to catch up. A lot of our electives, and Sungay, you talked about it where it was you only have 30 major credits, but then have to have so many other credits in different electives and different requirements as well. So you're getting a lot of that in any of our majors here on campus. So if for some reason you change from biology to psychology, maybe next year, you'll have a lot of that similar path, and it's going to be a real easy transition to that. Were you going to say something about kind of that transition or that ability to do so?
Yeah, so I want to major in biology, but I'm still a little bit unsure. So I've been talking with advisors, and they explained to me how easy it was to change majors. All you really have to do, if you are unsure about what you're doing when you first come into school, is all you have to do is go talk to an advisor and research what you're sort of getting into, and then you just sign a piece of paper and they'll change it for you. So it's a really easy process. They'll help you through it, or if you decide to go from having a major to undecided, they're very helpful. And there's actually a program while you sign up for classes, you can choose different majors, and it'll give you a layout of how many credits you have now or after a couple semesters, and then what credits you need in order to complete that major. So you, even if you don't really know, it really allows you to plan for the different possibilities that you might see.
Perfect. The other question had to do with the rigor that you might have in high school. So the question is, does my level of rigor affect my application? And what about senior year courses? This is a great question. So your rigor that you're taking in high school definitely does affect your chances of being admitted here. So what we're looking for are students that are going to challenge themselves. They're going to take classes that they can handle and challenge themselves and prepare themselves for the rigor that they're going to see not only here at the University of Wisconsin, but any college around the nation. So it's very important for students that are applying that they are prepared for what they're going to have to handle here as students at UW Madison. So it is a big deal. If you have a lot of rigor your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year, and then you kind of want to take it a little easier on your senior year, we can see that through your transcript and know that you're not challenging yourself to the ability that you could do, and in the end that would affect your possibility of being admitted versus possibly being denied as well. So it's a big dividend. So and then what about your senior courses? You will list those on your application, so we will see what courses you're taking at that time. It can also be a part of your transcript as well. But we then ask all of our applicants, whether they've been admitted in the beginning of January, or they're going to be or a decision at the end of March. We ask all of our students to self-report their mid-year grades so we can kind of see your progress with that. So students will go on the application site or your student center where all your information is coming from, put in the courses that you have listed or that you are enrolled in for your senior year, and put in the grades that you were receiving. Some schools actually send a mid-year transcript, which is great too, because then we can kind of compare and contrast as well. So that's sort of the way that we monitor your progress through your mid-year of senior year, because a lot of students might not have the chance to take an advanced course until their senior year. So we'd really like to see how they are progressing through those courses at the time that we're reviewing the application. So I don't think there is any other questions right now. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for our great guests, Senge and Sammy, for being here and giving me great insight. And if you have any other questions, feel free to come and we'll have our chat going on until about 8 o'clock Central Time here, and you can always contact our offices as well. So thanks again for being here, and on Wisconsin.